し多いわあやよあややようこしのぶにあやよあややともし多いわあややあややおあったったあったったあややあややあややあややあったったあったった
Hello there, Soren here. I know it's been a long time since I've last uploaded. I've just been very busy recently with just life in general, and I would like to talk about what's to come of my channel and my videos, but I think I would like to keep and put that off for maybe a different video. But now I'd like to talk about a subject of great importance to me. If there's one thing that can really get under my skin and piss me off, and comes from one of the exact same things that I love the most, is a book. I mean, come on, look at the title of the video. I literally put in what I was going to review here. But anyways, I'm probably not the only one here who loves books. But how can these things I love so much be turned into the bane of my existence, you might be asking yourself. Well, to me, there's just three little things that can turn this beautiful muse for inspiration into an appalling nightmare. I know there are other things as well, but I think I would like to cover those sort of tropes and other such stuff maybe in another different video. But I will start with these three for now, as I feel like this video may become a bit long just if I added more. Anyways, the first one is a rush pace, especially near the end. The second, a sort of forced feeling, such as forced humor, romance, or action, or, all those sort of things. And three, a great build-up that cuts to an underdeveloped area or areas. So, let's start with pace. When you rush at the pace of a story, it feels, weird. I usually tend to notice this sort of rush pace more towards the end of stories. I do notice every now and then, sometimes in the middle. I rarely have ever seen any in the beginning, but anyways, it's usually very weird. But more with the end one is that it's like as if the writer is just trying to finish the story and be done with everything. Like that's near the end, might as well just quit now sort of feeling, if you get the idea. This was the case for a series I read and loved a lot. Oh, by the way, I will mention now that I'm gonna be using a few examples for this. So, this was the case for a series I read and loved a lot until I read the fateful last book. Suzanne Collins' The Hunger Games series was great. I loved everything about it until I got about midway through the last book, Mockingjay. Then something changed. Suddenly, the pace seemed to just get faster and showed no signs of slowing. My eyes were darting around the pages, and I think I may even have reread the same page over 3 times. Yeah, it was going that fast to the point where some pages felt the same. I could have swore, too, that I read Katniss quote-unquote dying like 6-ish times. Don't even get me started on invisibility plot armor stuff. It's terrible cop-out. Anyways, this fast pace continued all the way to the last sentence of the book. I felt unsatisfied, as if something was ripped out from under me, kind of like a rug sort of thing. It was like when you sometimes chew those gums that have strong flavor at first, but then the flavor disappears after like 5 chews or, a few seconds. And I know the ending is supposed to cap off the book and maybe even the series, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to make the feeling last. Remember how most of our teachers would always yell at us when we were writing not even stories, but, just typical writings. They would yell at us to, make those endings count and really stick with us. That's sort of like the feeling with me when this sort of thing happens. It's like I want to run up to the reader and just scream in their face, reread this. Does it feel rushed? Does it end well? Because if it doesn't, you're going to end up pissing off a lot of your readers, me included. And I know probably a lot of other people as well might get that sort of feeling. I'm not sure. You can, just tell me if you've ever felt that before. Now on to the second one. A false sense of feeling can be honestly equally as aggravating sometimes. In the case of Douglas Adams and Ian Colfer's The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, for me the humor felt a bit too forced at times and a bit weird, and sometimes, the humor doesn't make any sense at all. Like, seriously, the whale falling from the sky scene and being like, oh no, I'm falling down to the ground, better name everything around me that humans made. That's so, this kind of low, so random humor kind of stuff, doesn't work well when it's thrown in randomly, and when it's not even good humor to begin with. It just, really leaves bad taste in your mouth sometimes. And don't get me started on the funniest joke part. I honestly have to say, Monty Python did the exact same thing, and they did it even better. And I also didn't like how underdeveloped the plot kind of was. I know some people might chime in who have read it and say, well, that doesn't matter because it's just book one in a part of many series. But personally, being a reader is like, even if you have multiple books, I want you to, grab my attention and keep me reading with just the first one in the series. That one should be developed really well, because if you don't, it's not gonna really grab my attention and I don't want to read the book. Many people have had this happen before in sort of works that they have read before, and, they felt just awful when something like that happened. I know any of you who've read stuff like that before can probably attest to the same exact stuff. And, well, finally, let's get to the last point here. The last thing that can make or break a book for any book, whether great or bad, can be a great build that cuts into an underdeveloped area or areas. Now, let me tell you, nothing is more heartbreaking than when you're reading a book that you've begun to fall in love with, only to have your hopes and dreams slaughtered by an unsatisfying or undeveloped plot, whether it be characters or the story itself. Now, I just want to say here, before I go on, is that this is going to be a sort of spoiling warnings. If you think you may read this book that I'm about to talk about, or, you are reading it, I will warn you right now, do not listen to what's going to come up. I'll try and put a timestamp to where you can skip to. I'm not sure. I may not, but if I do, I do. So now then, in the case of Anthony Doerr's All the Light We Cannot See, this build-up sort of stuff was more on the side of characters. The story follows the tale of a blind girl named Laurie LeBlanc and a techie Juana Pfennig, I think is the correct way. I'll put up the spelling. It's very hard to say it. And it basically takes in the setting of World War II. And I loved how it built up the characters so well, and I remember practically being on edge, just waiting for them to finally meet and, talk to each other, because because these two characters were on different parts in different areas from each other, so they've never really ran into each other. And then I remember they finally did, but it was for 5 pages. 5 pages. 11 if you count the front and back of pages, but 5 pages? I mean, honestly, I hate that this happened because I really did like this book so much, and it only made it hurt more when he did this. I mean, seriously, I know stories have to end, but couldn't you at least drawn out their interactions and other stuff for a bit longer? Because this was near the end. You had a lot of time. You could extend it out more, make it, work a bit more. I think that would have made it a lot better if he did that. Like, at least 10 more pages or something, I don't care. Just a bit longer. It just felt so underwhelming and made me not care when Werner dies, spoiler alert. As it was just poorly executed that I was like, well, who cares after this point? At this point, it's what just happened was so disappointing that I might as well not care. And it just really, really hurt me that happened. Like, I didn't even care that he died because of just what happened. It just pissed me off that much. And so now, I'd like to end it off with saying, well, now the questions that can be begged to be answered to these are, how can we change these or stop these? I don't think there's a real simple answer, but I would like to put forth 2 ideas that could be implemented. I don't think they're the best, but I think they would be interesting. Now, the first one that could be implemented is maybe a sort of random people test audience, almost like from movies. In a way, they don't do random audiences, but, like a sort of test audience to sort of read and give their criticisms. Another suggestion could be that maybe the editor or publisher or whatever of the book that's going to take it in could take that sort of role of the test audience, way, and give, sort of criticisms, whether harsher or easier criticisms, if need be, and maybe that could help. And coming from someone who is an avid reader and lover of books, sometimes we have to criticize the things we love most, even if it hurts too much. Because if we, as readers, let things like this happen and don't show concern for things that could break the things we love most, those things are only going to keep happening. So I think that as readers, and as a reader myself, I should say what I think, and I understand if you agree with what I've said, or disagree, or even hate me for attacking a book or series you love a lot. You're entitled to your opinion as much as I'm entitled to mine, so I completely understand. And if you do have those criticisms, whether good or bad, or, just suggestions in general, don't be afraid to leave a comment down below. I'll be willing to, debate, talk with you, listen to you, or just, whatever. Because honestly, I think that's one of the best things that we can do as sort of people and as readers. Well, anyways, I just want to say thank you all for watching. I really hoped you enjoyed this video. It was not necessarily hard to put together, but more just hard on me because of just being a reader and having to attack things that I really, really love a lot, and it makes me sad sometimes to see when books or stuff like this, just books in general, because of how much of a reader I am, that just fall in these areas. Again, I may make more videos on tropes or other areas, not sure. Maybe. You can leave a comment down below if you think so. And if you have any suggestions about, what tropes or anything I should cover. Well, anyways, just thank you again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next video and next time. Soren out. Thank you.